विद्या अवाप्य विद्धोत्तमतां दधानं कुर्वे सदा हृदि गुरुं करुणाकराख्यं रामानुजदयापात्रं ज्ञानवैराग्यभूषणं श्रीमद्वेङ्कटनाथार्यं वन्दे वेदान्तदेशिकं लक्ष्मीनाथसमारम्भां नाथयामुनमध्यमाम् अस्मदाचार्यपर्यन्तां वन्दे गुरुपरम्पराम् यो नित्यमच्युतपदाम्बुजयुग्मरुक्मव्यामोहतस्तदितराणि तृणाय मेने अस्मद्गुरोर्भगवतोऽस्य दयैकसिन्धोर्रामानुजस्य चरणौ शरणं प्रपद्ये मातापिता युवतयस्तनया विभूतिः सर्वं यदेव नियमेन मदन्मयानाम् आद्यस्य नः कुलपतेर्वकुलाभिरामं श्रीमत्तदङ्घ्रियुगलं प्रणमामि मूढ्ना भूतं सरश्च महदाह्वयभट्टनाथ श्रीभक्तिसारकुलशेखरयोगिवाहान् भक्ताङ्घ्रिरेणुपरकालयतीन्द्रमिश्रान् श्रीमत्पराङ्कुशमुनिं प्रणतोऽस्मि नित्यम्. In the previous lecture, we had a very quick recap of what happened in the past, that is referring to how when people who were jealous of Bhagavad Ramanuja wanted him discarded. The plan was foiled because it was found out by his younger cousin brother Govinda Bhatta. Therefore, while pretending to be absolutely friendly towards Govinda Bhatta, they played a game which separated him. So we saw about how he became a Nayanar at Kalahasti and how Periyathrimalai Nambi went and eventually helped him to return. So today we are going to see about why Bhagavad Ramanuja, who is called Emperumanar in Tamil, one of the many names that he is addressed by, why Vishishtadvaita is called as Ramanuja Darshanam or Emperumanar Darshanam. We will see by once again taking a small recap. Bhagavad Ramanuja went to Shri Goshti Purna for getting further knowledge. He had already studied before, right? He had studied under Yadava Prakasha and he already had a number of accomplishments. Like, for example, the son of the king, the local king there, had been possessed by a Brahma Rakshas. We have seen this before. The Brahma Rakshas told about the past life of Yadava Prakasha. That when great Vaishnavas were doing Tirtha Yatra from Srirangam to Tirupati, at that time on the way, they stopped by the lakeside at Madhurantaka. At that time, Yadava Prakasha, what was he? He was not even a human, nor was he a very well-built animal. He was in fact just something like a lizard. From being such an inferior creature, what happened? The Vaishnavas had taken bath and they were consuming prasada. At that time, a small bit of prasada fell down and it was tasted by this creature. Even the slightest, imagine this, a creature which does not understand anything about dharma. It cannot speak like humans. It is not as intelligent as humans. It is far, far away. But just by tasting the leftover prasada of great bhaktas, what happened? Even this creature got the ability to be born as a human being. Not just any human being, a human being following Sanatana Dharma. Not just any human being following Sanatana Dharma, but one who would be celebrated as an Acharya, one who would have studied so many scriptures and mastered them. That kind. So, why are we going back to that story? We are going back to that story to tell us that, tell ourselves and the world that as per Ramanuja Darshanam, yes, Bhagavad Ramanuja was divine, but even the simplest of creatures, even the simplest and simplest of the creatures could also advance spiritually. It is not just for humans, even for animals, birds, insects, worms, even they can try to advance by chance. If they get the opportunity, they can also advance and get the ability to attain moksha. Getting the ability to attain moksha is one thing. Actually, attaining moksha is another. There is a spelling mistake in the slide. Tirukkoštiyur. I have mistyped it as Turukkoštiyur. Please pardon that. But we are coming to that part right now. So, Tirukkoštiyur Nambi was approached by Bhagavad Ramanuja for understanding the Rahasyarthas further. As he started, he, as a person who had already been a great scholar, already had accomplishments like curing the child from the Brahma Rakshas, and then going and studying under Mahapurna Swami, that is Periyanambi. So, he had studied to a good extent. It is not like he is new to the scripture, and it is not like he is new to the school of philosophy of Tirukkoštiyur Nambi. But still, what did Tirukkoštiyur Nambi do? Tirukkoštiyur Nambi did not accept him immediately as a Shishya. We must remember once again how Bhagavad Ramanuja was already an Acharya of multiple disciples. Periya Tirumalai Nambi, that is the person we looked at in the previous lecture. He was receiving a messenger from Bhagavad Ramanuja. Remember, a person, a Shishya, had come to Bhagavad Ramanuja and then he traveled back to Periyanambi. So Bhagavad Ramanuja said that you should bring back Govinda Bhatta from Kalahasti, which is what he also did. Bhagavad Ramanuja had a number of disciples. Govinda Bhatta was one, of course, no doubt. But there were more. There was a great Acharya called Varadaveshnavacharya. He was a disciple of Bhagavad Ramanuja. There was Kuresha, Kuratadvan, as we call him. We have already seen a little bit about him before, that he assisted composing the Sri Bhashya. And there were more people like Mudali Andan and so on. All of them went to Bhagavad Ramanuja and surrendered to him. They were all his disciples. And we should not forget that eventually even his earlier Guru Yadava Prakasha would become his Shishya. Now, when Bhagavad Ramanuja went to Tirukoshtiur Nambi, having such high credentials, we have a good lesson to learn there. We see modern schools, a lot of them, admitting students who are already well performing. Students who score 80% and above, we will take them in, no problem. Students who score 90% and above, we will take them in. Less than 90%, we will not give them admission. There are some schools which behave this way. Then, after having admitted students who are already scoring 90% and above, when those students finish their board exams and secure good marks, the schools would pretend that they are the ones who have created this scholar. He was a scholar from the beginning. You gave him admission only because he was a scholar. Naturally, he cleared his exams in flying colors. But now you are marketing by saying, look, my student secured so many marks. My student secured so many marks. We see this, right? We also see in day-to-day lives. For example, if you are watching the TV, or maybe these days they don't do even that, they watch some OTT. In between an advertisement comes, some fashion ad comes. How would they take the advertisement? They would call a lady who is already looking very attractive, and then they would try to take credit for her attractiveness. Their product, which would have been released just 1 month ago or 2 months ago, would try to take credit for the attractiveness of a lady who might have been so since birth itself. We see these things happening. When you see somebody great, immediately bring them into your fold. That is a natural attitude. When you see an attractive lady, bring her to the ad. We can grow ourselves. When you see a good performing student, give him admission. This is the way the world works. But we have to learn from Tirukkoshtiyur Nambi that we have to be selfless. Only and only when we are selflessly serving Dharma will there be any purpose to our lives. Tirukkoshtiyur Nambi was a great scholar, no doubt. But Bhagavad Ramanuja was already celebrated. Simply by saying, yes, I accept you today, he could have happily declared to the world, see, even the great Ramanuja is my disciple. The way Yadava Prakasha was doing. But is that the way everything happened? Hmm? He said, let us meet on some other day. We have seen the story before, but not from this angle. So, to understand the deeper meanings of the mantras, the fundamental mantras of Sri Vaishnavism, which teach Vishishtadvaita. Periyanambi, who was Bhagavad Ramanuja's guru, he had only sent Bhagavad Ramanuja to Tirukkoshtiyur Nambi. But Tirukkoshtiyur Nambi wanted the public to understand the greatness of the mantrartha. How would people understand the greatness of the meaning of a mantra? They don't even know the mantra. The public doesn't even know the mantra. Naturally, they don't know the meaning of the mantra. Then how do you show its greatness? By making it something that can be learned only by the best of the best. So, in order to show the world the greatness of the mantra, Tirukkoshtiyur Nambi refused to admit Bhagavad Ramanuja initially. So, in this way, "17 times again and again Bhagavad Ramanuja came and he was turned down, turned back. Let us meet on some other day. But some people at this point started asking Tirukkoshtiyur Nambi, how is it fair for you to do in this way? Is it really necessary to test Bhagavad Ramanuja so much? Of course, they were intelligent enough to understand that he was testing Bhagavad Ramanuja and that he did not have any kind of ego problem or anything. There was no ego inside of Tirukkoshtiyur Nambi. He was testing Bhagavad Ramanuja this way, but people started asking. Is it fair to test him so much? Please don't test him too much. He is struggling. So, This time, Tirukoshtiur Nambi thought, let us admit Bhagavad Ramanuja. He called a Shishya and he said, bring me Ramanuja. So that Sri Vaishnava went and informed Bhagavad Ramanuja, saying, Tirukoshtiur Nambi is calling you. He has called for you. Bhagavad Ramanuja was very happy. We have waited. Now the Guru has finally become available. So, Bhagavad Ramanuja immediately called his 3 disciples. He called Kuratalvan. He called Nadaduralvan, that is Veeraraghavacharya, and he called Mudaliyandan. These 3 Shishyas of Bhagavad Ramanuja, these 3 were very close to him. They were his Pradhana Shishyas. So, Bhagavad Ramanuja immediately called for Kuratalvan, Nadaduralvan, and Mudaliyandan. And along with them, he went to Tirukoshtiur. He went and he met Tirukoshtiur Nambi. So these 3 are standing a little distance away and watching the scene. Bhagavad Ramanuja presents himself with a Sashtanga Namaskara. So, after performing that Sashtanga Namaskara, we call it Dandan Samarpittal in Sri Vaishnava Tamil. When he did that, Nambi said, I will teach you the mantra artha, but you should not tell anybody. And then he taught the arthas of Tirumantra and the Charama Shloka. Bhagavad Ramanuja, feeling very grateful, he learned it. And then, after learning what he did, you know well, we have already seen that. He revealed the mantra arthas outside. So when this happened, Nambi thought, how is this fair? I told you not to tell it to anybody because I wanted to show the world that the Rahasya is so great. Bhagavad Ramanuja understood it in a slightly different way. Yes, Tirukoshtiur Nambi wants to highlight the greatness of the mantra to the world. It is his noble intent. But Bhagavad Ramanuja also highlights the greatness of the mantra to the world by sharing the meaning of the mantra, which is itself great, and allowing the people, now that they have understood the meanings of the mantras, what would they do? They would also perform Sharanagati and attain moksha. So, Bhagavad Ramanuja also had the same intent. He also had, tried to glorify the mantras, which is done in a totally different way when compared to Tirukoshtiur Nambi. Literally the opposite, you could say. But you have revealed it outside. I told you not to tell anybody. Bhagavad Ramanuja said, see, I have refused to listen to you. Therefore, I definitely deserve Naraka. But in Ramayana, in Srimad Ramayana, Lakshmana had thought a little. So in Ramayana, there is a beautiful sloka. Mamaiva maranam bhuyat ma bhud vamsha vinashanam. Mamaiva maranam bhuyat. It is okay for me to die. Ma bhut vamsha vinashanam. But the vamsha, the clan, nothing should happen to it. Why? Lakshmana was selfless. He was willing to sacrifice himself for the sake of the clan. That Lakshmana himself has returned as Lakshmanacharya, as Ramanujacharya. Therefore, he would have the same attitude. Yes, by me getting Naraka, if the others are going to attain Sadgati, then so be it. Mamaiva maranam bhuyat ma bhut vamsha vinashanam iti buddhya vinishchitya Raghavaya nyavedayat. This is the shloka in Srimad Ramayana. So, thinking this way, what had Lakshmana done? He broke the order passed by Rama himself and went inside to inform about the arrival of sage Durvasa. So, in the same way, Bhagavad Ramanuja is also behaving. My Guru, how is my Guru? How should I treat my Guru? My Guru should be treated as though he is Bhagavan. Guru should be treated like Bhagavan. This is a teaching in Vishishtadvaita. It is also a teaching in Advaita. There is no doubt about it. The Guru should be treated like Bhagavan. With so much Guru Bhakti, I have to behave. But for the greater good, I will go against the words of my Guru. In this manner, Bhagavad Ramanuja went against the words of Tirukkoštiyur Nambi without really causing any kind of harm to the original intent of Tirukkoštiyur Nambi. So, he said, if by me going to Naraka, the Ujjivana of everybody who has listened to me could be possible, then that is good only. This was my reasoning, and that is the reason why I shared the meanings with the others. At that point, Tirukkoštiyur Nambi was so happy, so pleased with his Shishya. And then he said, from today onwards, this darshana that you have been studying from me, the Vishishtadvaita darshana that you have been studying from me, I have been teaching you the deepest secrets of Vishishtadvaita. You have been studying it from me. But although I am teaching and you are learning, you are already perfect at practicing. And therefore, let from today onwards this darshana be known as Ramanuja Siddhanta. Let the Siddhanta be known as Ramanuja Siddhanta. Let the darshana be known as Ramanuja Darshana. You do not have any papa karma coming to you due to Ajna Tilangana. Normally, when you break the order given by a guru, it is a huge papa karma. But Tirukoshtiyurnambi says, when you do something for the greater good, what will happen? You will not incur sin. You said that if by you going to Naraka, others can attain Sadgati, it is a great thing. But even you will not go to Naraka. Even though you have broken the order given by me, you will not attain Naraka. Tirukoshtiyurnambi explains. This is a very beautiful concept. It is present inside Bhagavad Gita as well. Krishna says, Naivam papam avapsyasi. Oh Arjuna, you will not incur sin. Arjuna has to kill his own relatives, his own elders, his own gurus. But he will not incur sin. Krishna has said it very, very clearly. We should remember, Pandavas did not incur any sin by killing the Kauravas. Because going and killing the Kauravas was their duty. If only when we get into the nitty-gritties of warfare do we see things like, oh, this was 100% dharmic, this might not have been so dharmic, and so on. But even there, practically what needs to be done needs to be done. This is the viewpoint of Lord Krishna himself in Bhagavad Gita. Therefore, Tirukoshtiyurnambi told Bhagavad Ramanuja, look, it is true that you have done Ajna Tilangana. You have broken the order given by me. But you will not incur Ajna Tilangana dosha. You will not incur any sin from failing to listen to me. So he was very happy. Then the public, looking at Bhagavad Ramanuja, started comment, oh, he is the one who has taught us the mantrartha. We are very grateful to him. Let us all surrender to him. Let us all surrender to him and show our gratefulness to him as his disciples. In this way, the people, more and more people started coming and falling at the feet of Bhagavad Ramanuja. At that time, Tirukoshtiyurnambi, he had said just some time back that this should be called Ramanuja Siddhanta, right? Now Tirukoshtiyurnambi says this should be called as Emperimanar Darshanam. You are asking, isn't it Emperimanar who has told the mantrarthas? Yes, it is the Emperimanar who has done so. Whatever you learned from him is Emperimanar Darshana. In this manner, Tirukoshtiyurnambi glorified Bhagavad Ramanuja. He is celebrating his Shishya. Then, from Tiruvaranga Perumal Arayar, Bhagavad Ramanuja studied the Tiruvaimozhi of Nammalvar. Then, of course, this guru was recommended to him by Nambi himself. Then, he studied this part of the Divya Prabandha, that is Tiruvaimozhi, from Tiruvaranga Perumal Arayar. From him, he studied Somebody is repeatedly calling. Sorry. So, from Tiruvaranga Perumal Arayar, from Tiruvaranga Perumal Arayar, Bhagavad Ramanuja, after performing seva to him, remember Krishna has said in Bhagavad Gita, Tadvidhi pranipatena, by falling at the feet of the Guru, pariprashnayana, by asking appropriate questions, sevaya, by performing service. This is how a student should behave with a Guru. Krishna has said so. Emperumanar, that is Bhagavad Ramanuja, he also did that. He spent 6 months performing all sorts of kainkarya, all sorts of seva to Tiruvaranga Perumalarayar. Then, one day, the Arayar, we should remember, Arayar had been appointed that way to perform kainkarya to Bhagavan at the temple. He would dance in front of Ranganatha in Sri Rangam. So he would dance in front of Sri Ranganatha and perform seva to Bhagavan by dancing. So, one day, the Arayar, being very happy while performing the kainkarya of applying turmeric to Bhagavan in the temple, at that time, he started reciting a verse from Periyalvar Tirumozhi. So he recited a verse which says that one of the ways of identifying Bhagavan who is Sarveshwara, how do you identify the Sarveshwara? Bhagavan is wearing Pitambara. Pitambara means yellow clothes. So, wearing yellow clothes, he is showing that he is the Supreme Being. And then the same Bhagavan takes the avatar of Acharya and gives Brahmopadesha to the Shishya. Then he explains everything properly. And then Bhagavan himself enters the heart of the devotee. And then he forgives all the sins. Like, for example, the sin of associating the body with the Atma, not knowing that Atma is different from the body. not knowing that I am the Atma, I am not my body. Thinking of myself to be the body, I would be doing so many wrong things. But Bhagavan forgives all of them. And then, even if we don't explicitly fall at his feet, he comes to bless us. How? Bhagavan lifts his foot and then places it on top of the head of the devotee as a sign of the devotee performing Sharanagati. We should remember that Bhagavan is pure in every way. He is sacred in every way. When an ordinary person places his foot on any body part of another person, we call it as kicking. It is wrong. Kicking, stepping, whatever. It is hurtful physically and also mentally. The feet are supposed to be dirty because they are used by us to walk. So the feet take some dirt from the ground, and that dirt goes to the other person. Hence, it is considered to be derogatory. But when Bhagavan does it, it is the most beautiful. It is the best. Bhagavan is completely pure. Kalyanaika Tanaha. He is completely auspicious in every single way. Therefore, that Bhagavan placing his divine feet on top of a devotee, to a great devotee, we should remember that we are looking at Periyalvar Tirumozhi. Periyalvar, the father of Andal, Goda Devi. From his composition, we are seeing. So he says that Bhagavan kept his divine feet on top of my head. Therefore, O bad qualities, please remember, this Atma is not like before. Now, it is having the promise of protection by Bhagavan himself. Previously, there was no protection. Therefore, it forgot about its real nature. It lost the knowledge of its real nature and did all sorts of wrong things. But now, it has the protection of Bhagavan. Therefore, it is not like before. This was the verse. Now, this complete verse is not relevant to the context. But in the verse, how is Bhagavan described? Bhagavan is described as Pitambaradhari. That yellow color association from using turmeric reminded Tiruranga Perumalarayar about this verse from the Divya Prabandha. So, he went ahead and started thinking and also speaking about the concept of Sharanagati. So, he started explaining about the topic just like that because he was so attached, he was so pleased, he was so happy. Then, as he started doing that, because he was so happy with the way Bhagavad Ramanuja was performing Kainkarya, he started teaching everything. So he taught about a Tiruvaimozhi to Bhagavad Ramanuja. And Bhagavad Ramanuja, like a good student, he learned everything. And how should you be? When you learn, you should not immediately get pride, ego, garva. That should not be there. So Bhagavad Ramanuja learned everything and still remained devoted to the arrayar. And then, having learned the rahasyarthas of Tirumantra and Charma Shloka from Goshti Purna, and also having learned the Tiruvaimozhi from the arrayar, Bhagavad Ramanuja went next to Tirumalayandan, because Tiruvaimozhi had been learned from the arrayar. But then this Tiruvaimozhi also has deeper esoteric meanings. To learn that, he went to Tirumalayandan. What happened after that, we will cover in the next class. But the point is, Vishishtadvaita was understood, and not just understood and mastered, but practiced and preached and taken to the public. It was publicized by Bhagavad Ramanuja. He did such a great Kainkarya, because of which we call it Ramanuja Siddhanta, Ramanuja Darshana, and so on. Even though he is not the first person to come up with the topic, the philosophy did not begin with him. We call it Ramanuja Siddhanta, Ramanuja Darshana, Ramanuja Sampradaya. We use these kinds of words because of the greatness of Bhagavad Ramanuja. So let us thank Bhagavad Ramanuja for teaching us how to be the perfect Shishya, and also teaching us how to be the perfect Guru at the same time. With this, I will conclude today's lecture. Thank you so much for attending. श्रीवत्सवं शकलशोदधिकौस्तुभस्य श्रीवासराघवगुरोस्तनयं ततश्च विद्यावाप्यभ्योत्तमतां दधानं पूर्वे सदा हृदि गुरुं करुणाकराख्यं कवितार्किकसिंहाय कल्याणगुणशालिने श्रीमते वेङ्कटेशाय वेदान्तगुरवे नमः।